Hi guys, Amy here, just checking in with some updates for the middle of the week for week 7. In case you didn't notice, I have posted a lot in the news already since the beginning of this week, so make sure you scroll all the way down. There's some answers to questions I've had about your argument topics, some discussion of last week or some final comments of last week's discussion of what sources you can use for your essay and why. And then I've also attached to that a document called the Credibility Continuum that kind of shows some examples of sources that you do want to use over here on the right side, and then sources that you definitely want to stay away from over here on the left side. So don't forget though that you do have to have 5 of the peer-reviewed scholarly sources for your essay, and then any sources you want to include beyond that should definitely come from these 2 far right columns. If you have to go into the third column, you may want to get a more balance of different sources to kind of even out what you've got if it does come from some mainstream media sources. Okay, and then also going back to the news there, I also posted some instructions for how you can apply for a temporary library card through the Harmony Library that we have on Front Range's Larimer campus and the Poudre Library District that it's affiliated with. So you can just kind of enter your information there. It will give you the number, and then when you go to research to get to your databases like Academic Search Premier, it'll ask for your last name and you would just type that in, and then the temporary library card number that you're given once you do the application. And this information is also in our discussion for this week, which is obviously what I'm going to be focusing on in my video today. So you can see those same instructions and all the information in the 2 posts that I've put here pinned to the top of our discussion. So I do want to pull out some examples for 5 minutes of fame in our video today, and I tried to pull things out that addressed each of the prompts in our activity for this week. Kind of how are they different, what happens when you search one of these things on the free access web, what happens when you search one of the things on a database, and then how are the sources different and why, which would be more useful and why. So I'll try to address each of those things, but you all have had really good things to say in general throughout this week. So forgive me if I leave something out. Everybody's participation has been pretty in-depth so far, so I appreciate your hard work and the depth of your thinking with that. Okay, so again, just moving through the different parts of the activity here. This person said, a web search is useful for acquiring general knowledge and narrowing the topic down, while the database search presents facts and scientific evidence for supporting research. So this is good, a good reflection of how you should be using the different types of searches for different phases in your inquiry and argument process. So when you're just trying to maybe conduct an inquiry process, get some background knowledge, figure out what the different opinions are or what the different ideas are that you might want to use to form your own opinion, you can use just a general web search like this person is saying here. But then when you're actually trying to make your argument and support it and create that argumentative persuasive product, then you do want to go to the database when you're writing for an academic audience at least, because that's going to be the credible information that they will value the most, and so it's going to be the most reasonable and scientific evidence to support your points. Then moving on, this person said, the search engine could bring up thousands of unedited free access links that could have been put there by anyone with their own opinion. A database is going to be more selective in the search, results that are credible and have been edited and chosen to be put there. However, results from the free access search engines may be more current, and then this person later goes on to say a combination of both sources would work well. So I think this is something that came up in a lot of people's posts, that on the free access internet anybody can put anything up there. I think we've already modeled that with the blog assignment that we did in our last unit, so it can really just be anybody's opinion, anybody's rant, and then there are varying levels of editorial process that go into what different websites put up there on their particular website. So I just wanted to pull that out because a lot of people brought this up. And then a database is going to be more selective. That's definitely true, especially if you're using the database the way it's supposed to be used, which is through the advanced search and using tools to narrow your results, like checking the box for peer review, just to make sure that all of your sources that you get back are peer reviewed, because not every source on a database is necessarily peer reviewed. It just makes it easier to narrow your sources down to only those results. So, and then I think what this person is saying when they, or means when they say the word edited here, is peer review. So that's why I'm touching on that at this point. But then this person, I thought, brought up one of the more important points about how the free access internet can be useful, is that, yeah, the information that's on the free access web is definitely going to be more current, because it's a lot easier and faster to get information posted just on the World Wide Web, as opposed to putting it through a process of peer review, which can take up to 2 years. So you're not going to necessarily have the most current information. And I've already mentioned this week, you know, sometimes there are topics that are even so controversial that there may not be an appropriate venue in the world of peer review for them to be published. Like there may not be a journal that would talk about sexual discrimination against women in the military, for example, yet, because it's still such a sensitive subject and such a new revelation in our culture that that is such a huge issue, even though it should have been obvious from the start, I think. But that's a whole other rant that I won't go into. Okay. So, and then of course, this person says a combination of both sources would work well. That is definitely what I'm trying to get all of you to take away from this assignment today, is just know that even though there are pros and cons to each, there are different places in your process and different avenues or different venues when they might be appropriate to use each of the different types of search or different types of source. Okay, and then going into the kind of searches that I made you guys model both in the free access search engine and in the library database, I thought this person had a really good synthesis of the sources that they found by searching Google. So this person said, web searching the term illegal immigration, the first link was an article posted by Fox News about a boy killed by an illegal immigrant. The next 2 links were from Wikipedia. The first was the general topic of illegal immigrants, and the second was illegal immigration to the United States. The first 3 links didn't seem to be very credible. Fox News tends to be biased, and Wikipedia articles can be edited by anyone. The fourth link was to a website named Center for Immigration Studies. This source doesn't seem terrible, but it is an independent research organization, so there could be some hidden intentions behind their research. And the fifth result was another Fox News article about cracking down on driver's licenses issued to illegal aliens in New Mexico. Overall, there seems to be one plausible source for researching immigration out of the top 5 results from the web, and I'm pretty sure they're referring to the Center for Immigration Studies there as the one plausible source. So I thought this was really good for a number of reasons. For one thing, if you haven't taken away from this course the fact that you need to be skeptical of what you see posted in the media, hopefully it raises some red flags for everyone that 2 of the top 5 results on Google for a search of the words illegal immigration are from Fox News. So if you don't think that the media is controlling information in this country, please think again, because there's definitely a undercurrent of rhetoric that's coming from different news sources that's meant to make you think a certain way. And if you're not a critical reader and a critical thinker, like I'm trying to get you guys to practice in this course, sometimes this information might seem to be reality or truth at face value, and that can be very scary, because obviously not everything one source tells you is going to be the whole picture of anything. So I just want to emphasize that as a kind of interesting point that comes up here. But then also what this person says about Wikipedia is relatively accurate. And then, although as some of you also pointed out, Wikipedia has gotten a lot better. And then it is true that the Center for Immigration Studies is probably the best source out of these 5. I will say I know this to be a relatively unbiased, government-backed organization. But you're right that as an independent research organization, there could be some hidden intentions behind their research. I do think this one's pretty good just from what I know about it, but it does, as someone else said, take some extra legwork when you're in the free access web to kind of figure out which of these organizations are reliable and which ones are more biased. And then going on to the practice of trying out one of the searches in a database, this person said, when I typed No Child Left Behind into EBSCOhost, 3 of the top 5 results were academic articles and 2 were periodicals. They included the abstract, the introductions, the full text, and all the citation information. They were all scholarly, peer-reviewed results, whereas the web search found organizations' websites. The EBSCOhost results would be more useful to the research process because it includes already reviewed information that can help you appeal to ethos in your paper. The web search results would require a lot more footwork in checking the credibility and primary sources of any research used. So this is the comment I was alluding to before. So it's true that you can use good sources to enhance your own ethos when making an argument, and I think that's why this person up here mentioned that you want to use scientific evidence for supporting research in your own arguments. But I think that it's really poignant that this person brings up the fact that just by using peer-reviewed sources from the database, you don't have to do as much work. It already does a lot of the footwork for you, or the legwork, as I said earlier, so that you don't really have to go through and nitpick all the information about each different organization like this one up here. You can just trust that because it's been peer-reviewed, it's a good source, it's going to enhance your ethos, and you don't really have to check anything else. So just putting that filter or narrowing your results that way in the library's database does a lot of the work for you. And then just to sum up that final question there in the activity, this person said, overall the database seems like it would be much more useful than Google in finding information about a specific topic. The database also has many different search options to narrow down your results. And I like this because I do think overall databases are more useful, especially when you are looking for some specific information about a particular topic. If you're just trying to get background information or just kind of get a general sense of your topic, the free access web can be good, but if you're further along in the research process and need really detailed information, it is much easier to search through the database because you can filter your results much more easily than you can on the web, which is what this person is saying here. There's a lot more options for how to narrow down your results, and so that's why I prefer it personally. And then of course you're going to get the good sources that add ethos to your paper that way, and the ones that you actually want to use. So kind of just a synthesis here. Make sure you're using the free access web to kind of introduce yourself and get your feet wet with a particular topic, but once you're further along moving towards your own argument, you need to be looking in the database for true support that will be appropriate for the academic community. And then going back to our discussion on D2L, I just wanted to highlight some of the good conversations that were going on in comments. One thing that I definitely saw that I wanted to pull out is the conversation going on within Emily's thread between Phoebe and Kara regarding Wikipedia. I kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, but some of the pros and cons of Wikipedia are really being brought out here. And so if you haven't already, I would encourage you to go read this conversation and see what they're saying, because it's definitely right on and very thoughtful. And then I thought there was an interesting conversation going on just in general about the importance of contextual clues. I see Kara has responded, and I haven't gotten a chance to read that yet, but I weighed in, and you know, like I was saying earlier, it's just a lot harder to determine credibility from sources in the free access web, and so you have to look at context clues a little bit more in depth, and that's what Phoebe was saying in her post. And then I also thought Kara and Phoebe had another good conversation going on within Kara's original thread. It kind of took the activity in a different direction, not really talking about any of the things that I was asking you to discuss in your prompts, but comments are a good place to kind of take the discussion in a different direction. But they're talking about, you know, should database access be free and available to everyone? Is it maybe a human right or a personal right to be able to access the kind of scientific research that can be found in a database? And I thought this would even be maybe a good argument topic. I know most of you have already hopefully chosen your topics at this point, but if you haven't, or if you were to do an argument in the future for another class, I thought that what Jason had to say and what Kara and Phoebe were saying about, you know, how can we make this information accessible to everyone is kind of a good controversial, significant issue that you might want to research and make an argument about later. And then also just a few other good comments already happening. I know not everyone has commented, but Cassandra made a good point on Jason's original thread about why you might use the free access internet for your more personal research, but then academic research, of course, you would want to go into the database. Hillary had a couple of good comments. I know one of those was on Matthew's original thread where you were asking a question about why he said .org sites are somewhat reliable. A lot of you said a lot of good things about domain types throughout your discussion, so that's an important point as well. Thank you for your hard work and keep it up over the weekend. Good luck, everyone.